Well, my dear friends. Today we have a very special announcement from StarWars.com. I want to say I'm surprised by this, but I think we all saw this coming. Star Wars A New Hope, the original Star Wars movie, is getting a 50th anniversary re-release in 2027. It's coming back to theaters, and Star Wars fans have a ton of questions. I'm gonna try and answer some of those in this video. 2027 is going to be a very special year for the franchise. Not only is it the 50th anniversary of the original movie, whether you call it A New Hope, or if you're an OG fan, just Star Wars, but it's also the same year as Star Wars Celebration in Los Angeles. And just a few weeks later, it's the release of Star Wars Starfighter by Shawn Levy. And so I have to wonder if they're going to use the re-release of A New Hope as an opportunity to show us a preview of that movie. And the only reason I say this is Lucasfilm did something very similar in 2024. For most screenings of the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, they showed fans a preview of The Acolyte to try and get subscribers on Disney+. I guess with Starfighter it's a little bit different. It's a theatrical release, and I guess it doesn't have much in common with Episode 4. At least The Acolyte was marketed as a prequel to the prequel trilogy, whereas Starfighter is post-Episode 9. But you never know, it might be part of Starfighter's marketing to have some kind of brief scene, or the trailer before A New Hope, and maybe in a way try and get fans who've been out of the loop back into the franchise. I think it's a no-brainer. Nonetheless, my friends, A New Hope is returning to cinemas, but the big question is, what version is this? Is this going to be the despecialized original theatrical cut, or is this going to be the predictable 2019 Disney Plus edition? Neither Lucasfilm nor Variety.com, who both reported this, can specify, but I have a really bad feeling it's going to be one of the special editions. Even though Kathleen Kennedy hosted the original theatrical cut in London just a month ago, the way StarWars.com words this makes me think it's going to be the version you can find on Disney Plus, but not the original despecialized cut. George Lucas stood by his special editions. He didn't want fans going back to watch the originals because, to him, without the alterations and the CG changes, the original trilogy was incomplete. And another indicator that this is not the version fans want is that they're calling it A New Hope. If it was the theatre cut, they would have just said Star Wars. So this is just a bog-standard Star Wars anniversary re-release. And I'm not saying that to diminish it. This is still a very big deal and still very exciting. If you're a Star Wars fan who never got to see the original trilogy in theatres, this is great. But as far as we know, and I hope I'm wrong, my dear friends, this is not the original theatrical cut. Now, it's important to note that even though Disney bought Lucasfilm from George Lucas, George retains final cut rights. That means if any other version of A New Hope is released, George has to approve it. So unless he had a change of heart and Kathleen Kennedy approached him and he said yes, this is probably going to be the special edition. Here's what StarWars.com said. On April 30th, 2027, we'll celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Wars with a re-release of the 1977 classic, back for a limited time, in theaters everywhere. So this is going to be across Europe, in America, in Canada, and it'll probably gross a sweet box office. The 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith grossed over $42 million globally. Return of the Jedi's 40th also broke records. But imagine if the re-release of A New Hope was the original cut. I think it would surpass Revenge of the Sith. It would do crazy numbers like 60 or even 70 mil. And Lucasfilm could really milk it. It could be a massive year for them in 2027, between the profit from Celebration, the box office of Starfighter, and the re-release. But I do find it quite bizarre that they're announcing it this far out. Usually with anniversary releases, they only announce them a few months out. We're talking about 2 years away, which makes me wonder if they're going to do something bigger for the 50th. And this is just part of it. There was a rumor from the YouTuber Eckhart's Ladder a few weeks ago. In short, Lucasfilm is in the process of restoring the original Star Wars trilogy for public release, probably on Disney+. And then a few hours ago, in light of the 50th anniversary announcement, he gave an update, and he thinks it's separate to what he's talking about. So I think there's two things going on. The first is the newer remaster being released in theaters, and the second, that the theatrical versions of the original trilogy are going to release on Disney+. They might just be special featurettes or deleted scenes, or maybe when you're on the app and you click on the movie, it gives you the choice of which version you want to see. I think in many ways re-releasing A New Hope is a great idea. It's one of the least controversial Star Wars films. Most Star Wars fans agree it's a masterpiece, so in theory, this should be an easy win for Lucasfilm. I'm excited. I'm gonna go see it. Do you want to know what I think's going to happen? If they do anything with the original theatrical cut, it's going to be at Celebration, a special screening for those in attendance, similar to what Kathleen Kennedy hosted in London. But I don't think the original version's going to be a widespread release. I'd love to be wrong on this. I understand it was George's vision. The special editions, those were the way he wanted to do it. He was very restricted in the 1970s, and so when the technology was there, he decided, I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you what I call the finished product. And that's what he calls it. He says the originals were half complete, but I guess tons of Star Wars fans disagree. And Variety.com added this: Disney's plans to bring back the original Star Wars to theaters was something of an open secret, but the studio had yet to formalize them until today. 2027 is a big anniversary year for the franchise. Star Wars Starfighter is scheduled to open in theaters on May 28th. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy is adamant Star Wars movies need to return with a bang, but the first of the upcoming slate is The Mandalorian & Grogu in 2026. The box office of Jon Favreau's upcoming adventure is a great litmus test. It will test the waters of how Star Wars fans feel in 2026, 7 years after the rise of Skywalker. The nerve-wracking question for Disney and Lucasfilm remains, how will fans react to the new movies? The re-releases have been doing great, but what about The Mandalorian & Grogu? And what about Starfighter? Some really big questions. And just before I go, my dear friends, to celebrate A New Hope's 50th, I want to share with you some of my favourite quotes and commentary of the movie from George Lucas.
My original inspiration on this film was really to use mythological motifs to create a whole new kind of myth that was very updated and contemporary. So I used the Saturday matinee serial as my vessel to put this barrel of mythological motifs.
Original inspiration for bringing the film out again was the fact that it was the 20th anniversary of the original release of the film. I had an ulterior motive that I'd been thinking about for a long time, actually ever since the films were finished, which is there were various things, especially in the original film, that I wasn't satisfied with. Special effects shots that never really were finished. I really wanted to fix the film and have it be completed. The most obvious thing that's happened is we've gone back, cleaned it up considerably, redone a lot of the optical effects, the wipes, the dissolves, and improved the quality of the film.
The idea that you could learn how to become one with the Force at will, just by willing it to happen, came out of the Buddhist idea, but the whole subtext of the Force and the ability to join the Force grew out of that reality, which is a subtext that is, again, one of those things that's kind of confusing to a lot of people. The idea that the Force surrounds you and part of you, and when you die, you become one with the Force, but it's an energy field, so you just become energy, and you don't have your individuality or personality anymore. You just energy, and the energy comes and goes, and it's partly generated by life and partly influenced by life. The one who ultimately finds out the way to do it is Qui-Gon Jinn.
But what do you guys think? Are you happy about the re-release? Are you going to go see it? And would you prefer the special editions or the original cinematic cut? Let me know in the comments down below.